having eyes on me. I prefer to sit in, the chair and get, from someone else. But I spoke, I said it, and it was something that was in my heart, and in my mind was like, you don't like talking in front of people. But I just ask that you bear with me. But one thing that I do believe in is sowing into someone else. And sometimes in business, what I've learned is sometimes it's knowing what not to do is just as valuable as knowing what to do. And knowing the fact that someone else was once where you are can give you the power to change it. So I'm going to share a little bit about, my story. My name is Mekel Henderson. I am the HudQueen. I am the owner of Equity Central, and we are currently the largest minority-owned real estate brokerage in Columbus, Ohio. So I'm very proud of that. So, everybody starts off small, and that's one thing about business is everyone starts off, it's their first day. Everyone starts off at square one. So where you go in life, depends on you and the opportunities that you take advantage of, but, everybody starts off day one for everyone. Life is like a heartbeat, and there's ups and downs, there's trials, and there's triumphs. And where we are in life can be different. Where you are is different than where she is and where she's trying to go. Everyone has their own definition of happiness. Everyone has their own story and their own triumphs and tragedies. But the only thing that unites us is life. So, the only heartbeat that isn't experienced ups and downs is a dead person. So as long as you're here, you have the opportunity to experience those highs again. And you'll probably experience some lows too, but that's what we're all here to do, is to help each other advance and to support each other and to grab a hand and pull someone else up. So a little bit about me. I was born into a middle-class family. I'm the oldest of 3 girls and 1 boy. I like to consider myself as the smartest person in the family. And I tell my sister I'm the cutest, but they don't agree with me. So I was born into a middle-class family. At the age of 8, my parents divorced. Just life, circumstances. We all deal with struggles in our
Separation.
family. We all have some things that that hurt us and also to help mold us to who we are. So my parents divorced. Then came the 80s. And the 80s came, the rock and roll, the drugs, the alcohol, the partying, and, my family was no different. So that affected me growing up as a teen. It led to me becoming very rebellious. I started running away from home. I was raped, robbed, and beaten. At the age of 15, my biological father passed away. And I didn't really know him, but me being his only child and, I think him wanting a boy but getting me, he taught me how to work hard. So he didn't give me opportunities to give me things. He gave me opportunities to make money. And he was pretty strict on me. And I remember one time I was cleaning his apartments because I wanted some extra money. He owned an apartment building. And he had told me to clean it up and get it ready for the next tenant. So I remember I missed the windowsill. And he came in, he went straight over to the windowsill because he probably figured that's what I was going to miss. And he took his hand and he was like, half-ass your stuff, but don't half-ass mine, excuse my language. But that's what he said to me. Now at the age of 13, I'm simply like, are you serious? I've never had someone tell me to use common sense so much. But as I got older, it started to mold who I was. So when I tell my kids, I don't say, they were, but, just don't shortcut my stuff. And the thing is, sometimes we need to tell ourselves, don't shortcut you, nothing else. If you don't follow through, with anything, follow through with you. Don't shortchange you. So, long story short, we had that relationship from the ages of 12 to 15 until he passed, where, you know, we really weren't close, but I am more like my dad. The older I get, I'm very much into hard work. You know, I like to be the first one there and last one to leave because it's my passion. So it's not hard for me to do. This is something that I do. It's like breathing. So when he passed away at 15, you know, I started acting out a little bit more. I became a teen parent. I got emancipated because I did not like rules and regulations. My mom and I would bump heads. Every time we turn around, you know, we weren't agreeing on anything. So I became emancipated. I got my own apartment. Got a car in high school, and I thought that I was living the American dream, not having to answer to any parent. So I had my daughter at 17, and I got married at 19, and I became a widow at 21. So from the ages of 19 to 21, again, my life kind of goes so fast that you know, everything sort of blends into each other. But some of the decisions where I made, you know, I made myself, and some decisions were made for me, and I just had to live with them. But at the age of 21, I saw my husband commit suicide in front of me. And it didn't start to affect me until I started to get older. And the older you get, sometimes when your kids are gone and you don't have the distractions to, you know, to kind of keep your focus, you tend to reflect more on you and your life and some of the things that you've gone through. So it's just recently started to bother me a little bit more, and I decided to volunteer at the suicide hotline. And you see how many things that are sort of common denominators with all of us in life. You know, everyone gets to the point where you just get tired, and you need someone to sort of breathe life into you, and you need someone to speak a word of encouragement. And one of the biggest things that we've learned in the training is that you just need to get that person through the next 24 hours. And you would never be surprised as to how many people just need to get through the next 24 hours.
That's right.
Because when you're at that heartbeat of life, and you're at that low point, the next 24 hours, everything can turn around in 24 hours, but you just have to be able to get through there. So sometimes you need somebody to speak a word of encouragement. And I don't know why I just felt that I really needed to say that, because sometimes we get so busy focused on us and business and life and our kids and our problems that we don't take a few minutes to just speak to someone else. And, you know, there's so many young kids out here that just need somebody to just smile at them, take 2 minutes and just say, you know, how you doing, what's your name, just, you know, you're pretty, you're smart, you know, you can do it. Those things really can make the difference in someone's life. So, 21, I am widowed with 2 small children, and I went to real estate school right out of high school. But again, because I'm so all over the place, it was something that I wanted to do because my dad owned real estate, and I had read Donald Trump's book. And Donald Trump, I was like, I want to be rich. So I was thinking, you know, he's a millionaire, I want to be a millionaire, and I want to know what they know. And I hated school, so as long as there was a Barnes & Noble, I figured I can learn anything that I wanted to know. And I didn't get anything out of Donald Trump's book. Donald Trump is a nut, and I saw him. I actually went to a conference and heard him speak in person, and it confirmed that he knows business. And the only thing that I got out of that book was that most millionaires own real estate. You know, they diversify their money and they own real estate. So I like real estate, I like money. So real estate was something that, you know, I wanted to do. So I had went to real estate school right out of high school, but it was taking too long. And I thought realtors were kind of like used car salesmen or insurance agents, and I was just like, and I'm not going to make any money, you know, being a realtor. I just wanted to own a whole bunch of real estate. And I thought that would teach me, you know, how to be an investor. So I did have that in my back pocket. I did finish real estate school after quitting Columbus State and going to Hondros. I ended up having a string of odd-end jobs. I did work for Aetna, worked for Merck. I could never keep a job. I couldn't even make it out of training because it wasn't in me. I was smart, I'm personable, but it wasn't something that I could do, and my heart was always I was just always a hustler. I always wanted to do something else. I always wanted to have a business and be my own boss. And you're telling me I can only use the bathroom between 10 and 11, and if the phones are busy, I have to hold it. I'm like, this is not what I want to do. So, long story short, I kind of did that, bounced around for a couple years. And I even did nails in high school. Again, I like to hustle, move around. So in high school, I also had gotten my manicurist license. But being in the shop with women was something that you could take it just for a little bit, but every day, oh my gosh, you're killing me. So, you know how it is, being in the shop. Now imagine doing that, Monday through Saturday, 8 hours a day. But I decided, maybe I can go back to doing nails. Maybe I can, start a business. And I actually started, to date, I've counted 11. And the one that was the most successful is Equity Central. Some of them I still have, and I'm not really doing anything. But like Robert Kiyosaki said, as long as you keep trying to do something, it doesn't matter that one business failed. If the 5th or 6th business was a success, then you're successful. So you can't really focus on the things that didn't work, focus on what does work. So in 2001, I had remarried and gotten divorced. Again, my life sort of blends into each other, so sometimes I forget, oh yeah, I did that. That happened to me. But I ended up getting remarried in '99, and we didn't last very long. Divorced in 2001. So now I have 3 children. And I was literally at my wit's end at this point because my second husband was now headed to prison for 6 years. So now I'm with 3 kids, a single parent, all over again. But now I have a $2,000 mortgage, 3 kids, 2 in private school, and I have a high school diploma. So thinking, what legally can I do to take, the business forward? I was not going to move, but I was just determined that I was not leaving my house. I was not going backwards. So my sister had went to, I think, Atlanta or Chicago, and she was telling me about this girl. And again, when sometimes you need people to breathe life into you. I'm at my wit's end. I'm working, I think, at Lucent. But I started, on the tail end of Lucent. So I wasn't like the Lucent worker was making $25, $30 an hour. I was the Lucent worker that came in through a temp service making $8, $9 an hour. So it didn't matter how much overtime I did, I could not pay my $2,000 a month mortgage. Right. So my sister comes in one day and she's talking and she's like, Kel, this girl, and I remember, and I was like, why is she telling me about this girl? But she was like, no, Kel, you can do it. Like, she's not smarter than you. She's not prettier than you, and just her talking was like, you know what? In real estate it is. Because it was just that 5-minute conversation and her validating that I can do it. I decided I can do it, and she knows me best. So if she says that I can do it, she was like, and she does it part-time, and she's doing this, and as she's going through the list of why I should do it, then I started to think, I can do it. I'm going to do it. And I had these 3 kids looking at me every day. They didn't care what happened, yesterday. They didn't care. I can't give them any excuses. They're looking at me like, we need to eat, we like our house, we like our car, and we don't want to change schools. So in 2001, I became licensed as an agent. Because when I went to school right out of high school, when I went to real estate school right out of high school, I took the test, didn't pass it, and I decided that I didn't want to do it anyway. So, but in 2001, I had a reason for doing it. And my reason was my kids. But during that, time of starting off my real estate career, I wasn't really making the money that I had wanted to. I wanted to do 6 figures, but you know, when you're starting off from day one, it just doesn't automatically happen. You have to build your reputation, there's a learning curve, and you have to figure out what it is that you're doing. So, long story short, I had some rough years. My first 3 years were pretty rough. I ended up selling real estate for 6 months without a car, but I had to pay my way, and this was me laying my foundation. I knew that I couldn't survive at a HER or a Caldwell Banker because I can't give you half my check. Because my 3 kids need that other 50% that I'm giving you. You know, the mortgage company needs it. So I said, I'm going to go straight to RE/MAX. And the thing about RE/MAX is that you start off day one by paying. You had to pay them a monthly fee. And I was paying the same $1,500 as the season agent was, making $75,000. But I'm going to make it. So I'll give you $1,500, but I can be able to keep the rest. That was my mindset. And I didn't want to put myself into a position where I had that cushion where if you sell something, give us half, and if you don't. I needed to go where my back was against the wall, and you know, you have to make, you know, a commission in order for you to get a check, because you owe them $1,500 regardless if you sell or not. So that was my mindset. I ended up filing for bankruptcy after my divorce, and I was not at all happy about that, but you know, in life it is what it is. I grew up in the hood, so filing bankruptcy for me wasn't that big of a deal. It didn't hurt my self-esteem that much to file for bankruptcy. Donald Trump did it, so I got over it pretty quickly. So now, I jumped into real estate full time. I have my 3 kids. They're in private school. And something in my spirit, I always had a dream board. Something in my spirit said, the name of your company is going to be Equity Central. So every year, I would put a mission statement on my dream board, and I would do a mission statement and my goals. And I also, the things that I like to have, because if you don't have a vision of where you're going, you'll just kind of flow wherever life decides to dump you, or whatever the wind flows and you end up like a leaf, that's where you're going to be stuck unless you have a vision of where it is you're trying to go. And I learned that in one of the books I'm reading. I think it was The Millionaire Next Door. In The Millionaire Mind, I always try to, I hate school, like I said, but I always try to sort of motivate myself, and I always try to edify myself. So business is what I want to do, so I always want to read business books. I always want to read motivational books, management books, because going back to school and getting a master's or bachelor's is not anything right now that I want to do, but I can still learn from the efforts and lessons of other successful people. So I learned that I needed to have a vision board. So now I have a vision board at home, I have a vision board in my office, and Equity Central was on it. And it's amazing how when you are ready, when an opportunity presents itself, things can happen overnight. I ended up kind of going from a RE/MAX to a RE/MAX Tri-County to RE/MAX Town Center, and then I was recruited to do have HUD territory. Now, I sort of created my niche at this point as being the HudQueen. I was in my mentor's office at RE/MAX Town Center. And he came into the office one time, and he scared me. He really scared me because he was older, he was Italian, and he was bipolar. He would tell you that he was all 3 of those. He was actually proud of the fact that he was all 3 of those. And nobody messed with him because he commanded respect, and he knew what he was doing, and don't mess with him. You know, and that's what he portrayed when you dealt with him. But again, I'm hungry. And I'm in the office, first one there, last one to leave. So he stopped by my office one day, and he says, "Young lady, I don't know who you are, I don't know your name, but," and this is when he told me, "I'm old, I don't have any friends, I'm bipolar, and I'm Italian, but I work, you know, so all I have is work. And the fact that you are here before me and you are here after me shows that, you know, you want it." And, you know, so... And he saw a picture of my kids. He said, "So with that, being said, and you also have children, my door is always open to you. And I took that opportunity to let him mentor me, even though we had two different clienteles. We had, you know, his price point was $300,000-400,000. My price point was zero because I'm just, you know, pretty much starting in the business. I took the opportunity to learn. So I kind of made myself the office peon, where, you know, I would go to seasoned agents and, you need me to do something? You know, can I do a BPO? Can I do? So that's how I learned how to do BPOs. I learned the business and I learned territories. But while I was in Carlton's office one day, helping him do the files, another agent came in, and at that time, you know, doing anything less than $100,000 at Remax, that was considered a smaller deal. To me, that was a nice paycheck because, you know, it wasn't what it was a lot bigger than what I was used to. So an agent kept coming in Carlton's office asking, how do you do this? And, you know, how do I fill out a HUD contract? And what does this mean? And the second time that the agent came in, Carlton said, oh, you're looking for the HudQueen. And he's like, oh, I like that, use that. And I'm like, I can't call myself the HudQueen, like people laugh at me. And he was like, what the hell do you care if they laugh at you, as long as they remember you? I was like, that was the best piece of advice I ever got. You know, and I was like, that's true. You know, when I first started calling myself that, like, I got laughed at. An agent called me to tell me basically how stupid it was. But he remembered me though. That's right. You know, that was my niche. You know, that's what I was good at. So while I had to sell 100 HUD homes to do the same value, to hit the same six figures as another agent did, you know, doing, you know, 20 large, you know, deals, that wasn't my niche. It wasn't my territory. So I had to stay in my lane and perfect that and do value. But at the end of the day, when they were getting the, you know, the awards for platinum, I got mine for platinum. It was just doing more volume, and that's what I was good at. So I ended up getting my niche as the HudQueen, and because I was the HudQueen, I was recruited by another real estate brokerage to have a territory. When you take away people's money, they have to adapt. So because at one time I was their competitors, well, now that they're not getting paid to just sell the property, now they need people like me. So now you know, once was a competitor, now I'm an ally. So they gave me a territory, and I didn't like it because now I felt like I had went backwards, and now I was really an employee because now I had to give you a larger piece of my money, and I wasn't working for myself, and I had rules and regulations. And the last straw was when my water main broke at my house. I needed $2,000. It was literally, you know how when it's already tight and you have money, you know, set aside, you don't always have loose thousands just sitting by to where, oh, I can pay for that. You know, I have 3 kids, a mortgage and bills, and, you know, so when my water main broke in December, I didn't have an extra $2,000 to just cut the check. I needed my paychecks. But it was the same week that the office manager decided that she wasn't cutting checks till the next week. Now, you know how it is when someone plays with your money. And it wasn't as if I didn't earn it. My paycheck was there. All you had to do was cut it and set it outside. I didn't have to speak to you. We didn't have to go to lunch. I didn't have to ask you questions. I just wanted to get paid. So at that point, I was livid, you know, but it is what it is. I had to suck it up. And that, you know, that ended up causing another $10,000 worth of damage because it froze. It was in December. And when I say she could have cared less, I was almost begging on the end of the phone. And I was so hurt that I was just, you know, dismissed like that. Like if it was, you know, so I said, this is the last time that I'm going to have to depend and feel like I'm begging for my money, you know. So I said, okay, all right, I did my time. I said, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but this isn't going to work for me. Maybe, this was December, maybe February, January, February, because I'm what you call a stalker. When it comes to what I know, when I say I'm the HudQueen for a reason, I'm a stalker. So if something happens, if the slightest change happens with HUD, I knew about it. you know. So I saw that there was an announcement made on the HUD site that they're rebidding the contracts. And because, of course, I'm starting to call myself the HudQueen, other people started calling me, hey, did you hear this? Did you hear that? And I didn't actually have all the details, but them calling me, I feel, you know, they filled in the gaps for me. So I said, okay, there's a new management company coming up. I did not have a non-compete clause. So literally in 48 hours, the company was up and going. At the time, I didn't have a broker, so I had to, and it was crazy how it happened because someone that was once sort of biting the way that I advertised, you know, was kind of mad because I'm like, how's she just gonna copy my ad and change my picture or whatever? But I saw that she wasn't really doing anything. So then it became, you know, well, I'll help her, you know. So I started sort of training her. And she happened to be over my house. And I was telling her about the changes that were coming up. And she said, oh, I can get my broker's license. All I have to do is take my test. So I had already decided that I was going to go after the contract, but I didn't have a broker. And in 48 hours, I started from no company to Equity Central to having a broker. And it happened just that quick. So it was 48 hours, you know, I was up and running. It's amazing how when you want something bad enough, there are no obstacles. You know, everything becomes a small thing to a giant when you want something and when you're hungry. So I started Equity Central, and I wrote the proposal, and we were awarded the contract. So we were a listing broker for HUD. And that was a blessing because everything sort of went to 0 to 100 quickly. But again, when you're not prepared and you're not adequately protected, you have to be prepared and protected. I almost lost everything because the broker that was so willing to jump in took all my business in 2008. Because when you start to see a bunch of zeros and you start, you know, making a lot of money very quickly and it's a lucrative contract, and I didn't have the necessary documentation and contracts to protect myself, I almost lost it. Right. So I had to start from scratch a year and a half later because she took all of my business. And right. So I had to start over. I had to start from scratch. And when I had to rebuild the business, I had to restructure. So there were a lot of things that I had to learn the hard way in business. And sometimes when you get, not so much the door slammed in your face, but when somebody just says, you know, tough luck, and it's almost sometimes insulting when people can do things to you that if the shoe was reversed, you could never do a fraction of it. It kind of stings that much more. But that's okay. Because
come on, girl.
Because it all comes full circle. So I had to rebuild everything. And in the meantime, my oldest, I had 3 children. My oldest daughter was pregnant with twins. Yeah. So in the meantime, from 2008 to 2007, 2010, I have, you know, 3 kids to support, and now 2 grandchildren. And then a year later on the same day, another grandchild, a 3rd. So, yeah, God has a sense of humor, doesn't he? That's exactly what I said. Like, are you serious? So now I have 6 mouths to feed. You know, I had almost lost my business, and I'm starting from scratch. And then I had lost my advertisers. So I'm over at Easton paying $5,000 a month in rent for office space. My agents, you know, are closing, you know, but they're not closing how I was closing. You know, it's a different when it's your business and it's your passion. You will do whatever it takes. You will be the first one there, and you will be the last one to leave because that is your passion. That's your baby. So everybody else doesn't necessarily have that same dedication and that same attitude. So it was kind of, you know, it was all on me. In 2010, I ended up losing my house. I ended up filing for bankruptcy again. But at this point, I said, you know what, I learned a lot. So I said, okay, well, from this point on, when I hustle, I'm going to do everything and pay cash. So, and again, with 3 grandchildren, you guys are going to get out my house. So my gift to my daughter and my grandchildren was that I paid for a house in cash for them, so they would never have to move, and it was theirs. My oldest grandchildren are 6 now, so if you ask them, this is their house, and they are so serious about that. When I say, is your house clean, I'm asking them, is your house clean? And they will say yes, but my mom's car is dirty, you know. They will tell in a heartbeat. But that was something that was important to me, because I said I'm not going to lose again, you know, and I want a peace of mind again. So I had to, you know, I downsized. You know, I didn't want the $3,000 a month mortgage payment again. It was too much, and now it's just me. My kids are grown and out of the house. My grandkids are okay. So I said I'm going to work, and I'm going to hustle up, and I'm going to pay for a house for my daughter. You know, I got it, you know, nice the way that she wouldn't have to do anything. I gave her everything that I had, you know, front load washer and dryer. You know, she was set. Don't ask me for anything for a long time. And I said, I'll just start over. And with me starting over, I ended up moving over here to Creekside. Actually, my office is right there. Yeah, I can see the conference from my office on the other side. I saw people walking through the halls, so I was like, I better get over there. But I cut my office rent in half. I hustled. I ended up, you know, buying my house in cash. And I said, I'm not going to lose again. I restructured the business, cut all my expenses, and just got down to the nitty-gritty. And now we are able to just start clean. You know, where you don't have the stress and you don't have the worry. Although I'm not where I want to be, you know, I'm not little Oprah just yet. But even Oprah had to start somewhere, you know. Oprah didn't just become Oprah, you know. She had to go through a lot. She lost a lot, you know. And one thing that I always tell my kids, because I like being the queen of one-liners too, because they always remember that. And I tell them that everybody wants Oprah's money, but very few people are willing to do what Oprah did to get it. So I had to restructure the business. I restructured my personal finances. I cleaned my credit up. I got my score to what I think is good credit. When you come up from bad credit, you know, I just kind of had the time to reflect and to do some of the things that are important to me. I am volunteering at the suicide hotline. Actually, me and my mom are starting a 24-hour daycare center block from the casino. That's actually more of a challenge in getting open than it was, you know, starting the real estate business. And I'm also trying to, you know, to work on a book right now. A few things that I would hope that you would take away from this is that no one can make you a victim without your permission. That's right. That's right. We are all victimized. We are all victimized in some shape or form, but staying a victim is your choice. That's right. Professional victims never reach their full potential because their energy and effort is always focused on picking the wounds. And no wound can ever heal if you keep picking it. So sometimes you got to let go of the past, let go of the pain, and press through. That's right. Because tomorrow can always be different than today. You know, everything can turn around on a dime. What you change, you have power over. Just knowing the ability that you have the ability, just knowing that you have the ability to change your circumstances, or if nothing else, how you perceive your circumstances gives you power. Empowered people tend to live the fullest lives. Yes, sir. So regardless of where you are today, know that your better days are still ahead of you. It's not over yet. And lastly, no matter how many mistakes or how slow your progress is, you are still way ahead of everyone else who isn't trying. That's right.
Was that beautiful? and say, somebody could have it worse than I do. And but for the grace of God, there goes. Are there any questions for Mekel? She said she didn't like to speak in front of people, but she was excellent. And we just love the fact that she was so transparent and willing to share. And as you go through your life, just say, you know what? She was able to make it through. Do we have any questions for her? Because we are going to go ahead and, I think we're passing out the evaluation form. And I know we just put an excellent on everything. But do we have any questions at all? Yes.
I noticed that when you were speaking, you were what I call a shark. Kind of a go-getter.
Definitely, yes.
What kept you throughout your life? What kept you motivated? I know you mentioned about the kids, even about the grandkids, but in your times when you would feel, question yourself whether I'm going to make it out, what kept you motivated?
I would have to say two things. One, I hate the word average. I don't want anything that's average. If nothing else, I don't want it for my children. And I learned that you have to have a reason why. So I train my kids when they were younger. It's amazing how when kids are younger, you can train them to do something, and when they get older, they kind of do their own thing. But when they were younger, I used to make my kids ask me every day, what did you do to make some money? Because I knew that I can't look my kids in the face and tell them, oh, well, so-and-so broke up with me. The things that sort of tend to hold us back that we focus on instead of moving forward. The heartbreaks, the friends betraying you, the life, the bills, the stress. They don't care about any of that. So I said, I need for you to do me a favor and ask me every day, what did I do to make some money? And sometimes my 18-year-old and 21-year-old, they'll still say, well, what'd you do to make some money today? I'm like, what'd you do? But I knew that I could not lie to them. I couldn't look at them and come up with an excuse. So I knew that would keep me honest, because it's hard to find people that will motivate you and keep you accountable. So I try to do like an accountability group to where we would do personal action plans. I like numbers, I like goals. I put something on the board. I have to call them boss lady goals, and I list them. And if I'm not hitting them, I need somebody to say, why not? What are you doing? Because it doesn't matter having, a hope and a dream unless you're actively pursuing it. That's all it's going to ever be. You're going to have one of those coulda, shoulda, woulda lives. So I knew that my thing would be for my kids to ask me, what did you do? And it seemed simple to them. It was something that they could remember as kids. But for me as an adult, it kind of put my back against the wall and said, you slacked today. You didn't go out and get it. You were scared to prospect this client. You had an opportunity to close this deal, but you didn't. So it kind of held me accountable and kept me honest.
Any more questions? Right here.
Yeah, I've gotten below zero. I can laugh about it now, but me and my best friend, we have a thing is, as long as we both ain't broke at the same time, we're gonna be okay. And it's gotten to the point where, she was like, girl, look, I can authorize $1, you better go fill up for the week. And sometimes it gets that bad. But just knowing that almost every success story has a low point. Yes. It's not a success story if nothing ever happens. Somebody hands you the keys to the mansion. Sometimes you have to work through it and press on. But knowing that this is your passion, this is your calling, that will help you get through when times get dark. You know, when I had said that I was living at, when I had lost my house in 2010, I actually had to move into a friend of mine's house who was also losing his house. And I was working out of that house. My office was out of there, and my kids were there, my grandkids were there. So you talk about a sister stressed out. I literally would be, you know, some nights like, are you serious? Like, you know, I didn't know what to do, you know, but I fell asleep in my prayer closet. I made my closet a prayer closet. And I just had the faith that I had this vision for a reason, you know, and I still wasn't going to work for anybody else because I still couldn't pay my bills, you know, going to go work for somebody else. But if the pressure was going to be on anybody, let it be on me, you know. I had the faith that it was going to work out. And literally, as soon as I got the contract again, when I had to get it back for the second time, I hustled from sun up to sundown. You know, I had to borrow the money from my mom to send off for a contract one time, but I literally in 2 weeks' time had put enough in contract to where I had the money to close on my daughter's house, you know, 45 days later. And I can honestly say that I don't remember putting that bid in. I don't know if it would have been a long night or maybe I had one too many glasses of Merlot. I don't remember putting in that bid. But I remember when I got it, you know, the bid, I'm sitting here, I don't know where I'm going to go, but all of a sudden I won this contract in my daughter's house. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. But in 2 weeks' time, I had the money, I had hustled up the money that 30 days, you know, these closings are going to come through that I could close on it. So it takes a lot of faith. Amen.
It helped you along the way, like besides, you know, the typical agencies that people usually go to because they have no like job and family services, not really an option. I'm saying like other agencies, churches, or any other agencies that you went through that really actually helped you get through all of those trying times.
Just a hope and a prayer. That's it.
That's it.
I didn't have any agencies. I didn't have any mentors. Now, one thing that I wish I would have done is to get a mentor, because again, knowing what not to do sometimes is just as valuable or more valuable as knowing what to do. Because when you're out there trying to teach yourself, it's very hard. But I didn't have any agencies or anybody that would that loaned me any money. It was literally, you know, everything kind of fell on me, and you know, by the grace of God, everything happened, and I didn't go under.
We have time for one more question.
I'd like to know, how do you feel personally and business-wise about homeowners, say in the black community, and maybe they, you know, they have property of their grandparents and it's declining in terms of investment and in terms of the future?
Personally, I think that real estate will always be a good investment. You know, the market is the market, and I think it will correct itself, personally. You know, if a property is located in an area that it doesn't appreciate as well as other areas, you know, unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do about it but maintain it. You know, any property that is well maintained will always get a better resale value, and will always appreciate more than surrounding homes.
Let's give another hand clap for Mekel Henderson.
We have two what?
So much. She was awesome. We ask that all of you please fill out your evaluation forms for this workshop. And we're going to take all this down and set up for the next workshop. We have a question? Oh, we need forms back here. Some more
My
forms.
form is on the floor.